Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the concept of voluntary hardship as a philosophy that applies to our training, and how this concept has been used historically to discuss making ourselves better people. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Now, this is not my own term. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. This is a term I heard the other day listening to the Barbell Logic podcast, because I like to do that. I like to hear what successful coaches out there are doing, and those guys over at Barbell Logic are successful coaches. Are they not successful coaches? So I like to hear what these people have to say and what they do with their lifters and athletes and clients and things like that. But yeah, they were talking about that concept, and they were coming at it from the philosophy of Western philosophy of things like the Protestant work ethic. But you know what? There's a number of different cultures around the world that apply similar concepts, right? You have it in Western society, you have that, and then you also have some various Eastern and Asian philosophies that are actually very, very similar. Very similar when you start looking at them. So this is something that in a lot of really more advanced and civilized cultures around the world, you see this concept applied, right? It's almost a universal. It's almost a universal. And it is this idea that there are forms of voluntary hardship that we can use to improve ourselves. And improve ourselves in different ways, but it is that concept that hardship in the form of some form of hard work, not necessarily just self-inflicting suffering for the sake of suffering, but that work itself, productive work, which is a form of hardship, it's oftentimes self-inflicted, is a way to improve our lives, but in many cases to improve ourselves for the better. Because in some cases, it just teaches values, it can teach character. That's a big part of it. Voluntary hardship can do that. And in many cases, there is something to be gleaned for it, whether it's financial gain or business or an athletic ability or strength or muscle or fat loss, right? Our health. There's a lot to be said for this. And that's an interesting concept because it is the idea that hard work towards goals improves us. And the idea that the work itself is intrinsically self-improving. And that's a good idea too, because when you look at it that way, that is one of the things that I've said in the past, because they came at it from that perspective. I appreciated that. But that's something I've said in the past, that weight training, particularly when we live in a society where a lot of young men have forgotten how to be men, the concept of weight training is something that a lot of young men do for very superficial things initially. They come in and they train because maybe they just want to look better. They want more self-confidence. They want a better body to be more attractive to women. That's one reason a lot of guys train. A lot of guys out there train for that reason. They at least get started. But somewhere along that journey, a lot of guys and girls, as women do the same thing, a lot of them go train to be more attractive. Along the way, people fall in love with the process. They fall in love with the process because it is putting in hard work and investing your work for an outcome, but you're investing that work in yourself. In other words, it's a very, very good way to teach people that consistent daily, long-term hard work can improve us. That it can improve us. And when you learn that concept through training, how many people then go on and maybe learn to apply that to other things? Learn to be successful at various different endeavors. That, again, hard work is intrinsically valuable. It's intrinsically valuable because of the self-improvements that it brings. And it doesn't really matter what your original desired goal were. It's learning the concept that hard work pays off. Maybe it won't always pay off the way that we hope it will, but it pays, and it's something you're investing in yourself. And you could apply that to your training for your physique. You could apply that to your training for a sport. You could apply that training for yourself, just for your health, your well-being. But then people can go on and learn to apply that to other things because it teaches discipline. Again, the idea of voluntary hardship, because coming in and training is hard. It's not this overwhelming thing. Most people don't grind that hard, and the ones that try to grind too hard and stupid get hurt. But it is about that consistently coming in and putting the work, because who gets the best results training? People who are most consistent. Always. Been a universal truth noted by coaches. People who are consistent. Consistency trumps everything in training. I mean, consistency trumps the minutia of your programming, trumps everything else. But it's that consistent work pays off in a long-term goal. And the thing is that it puts you in that mindset, and you're learning it with one endeavor. And then you can go on, you can apply it to your own home business, you can apply it to starting your YouTube channel, you can apply it to whatever element of your career, or whatever else it is that you want to do. Maybe you have some goal of changing the world in some other way that I haven't addressed. Maybe it's totally different. And you learn that ethic of putting in hard work towards a goal consistently day after day after day. If it could change you, you can maybe change the world that way. Maybe there's some other endeavor that you're passionate about that you see as some worthy endeavor. It might not be financially related. It might not be physique related to something else, but you learned that value in the gym. You learn that value training for sports. That's one of the things that's been pointed out. A lot of people who are very pro sports, say in high school or middle school, them being there, is not that the sports themselves matter in the long term. It's the values that go with it, that it teaches people, in those cases, the concept of hard work, character building, working towards a long-term goal by putting in the consistent work. Because if that's a value that we can learn early on at some point younger in life, we can apply that to other concepts. So that's one reason I try to get a lot of young men into the gym, and women now at this point too. Again, we need more of that. Getting young people in the gym. Yeah, we know the benefits are there. The scientific evidence for the health benefits are overwhelming at this point. They are overwhelming. The benefits are enormous in terms of everything from staving off osteoporosis to, I just saw one showing resistance training improved cholesterol in men, and that men who trained more hours had put in more time working out per week actually had even better cholesterol outcomes. So, I mean, we're talking about heart disease. We know lifting weights cuts cancer rates in half, stops osteoporosis. We know it cuts diabetes rates by 70%. Now getting data that, hey, if you maintain leg strength up into your old age past 55, it improves cognition, improves memory, seems to be correlated with lower Alzheimer's rates. Right? We know all that stuff's there. But that's the real long term. What about in the shorter long term? And you say it's the values that it teaches. It's the values that it teaches, and that's what I'll tell a lot of guys. I might make fun of the guys who go to the gym thinking they're going to do it just to get chicks, because it's so silly and it's not really that true. But you know what? If it gets them in the gym and it teaches young men the value of hard work and caring about yourself, then I'm not going to complain a whole hell of a lot if that gets them in the gym. Because that's going to improve their lives. It's going to improve, potentially, if it teaches these young people the value of hard work towards positive outcomes, or hard work towards self-improvement early on in life, there's a far better chance that those people are going to be more valuable, more productive members of society 5 or 10 years down the road, right? Because that's a lot of what this is about too, isn't it? I mean, that's a lot of what it's about. Character building. Character building. Yeah, I mean, having stronger people around is a good thing too, because even as guys like Ripto say, stronger people are harder to kill. Strong people are in general more useful. But we come back to the other end. People who understand the value of hard work and who are willing to invest hard work in themselves are also willing to invest hard work in the long term in society around them. Those are the sort of people that you want. You want more people like that in this world. they're generally more useful, generally going to be more helpful, generally going to be the sort of people you would rather have as employees, people you'd rather have as co-workers, in some cases people you'd rather have as leaders. It builds better people. Again, voluntary hardship for the purpose of long-term self-improvement. Wonderful concept. And yeah, I like that term. I'm going to start using that term myself, but I would definitely want to give credit where credit is due, because that's where I got the term from. I don't want to just steal it outright. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.